We begin in East Africa, where a diplomatic row is brewing between Kenya and Somalia. This after Mogadishu ordered the expulsion of Kenya's ambassador, accusing the country's neighbour of interfering in the electoral process in Jubaland, one of Somalia's 5 semi-autonomous states. Somalia has also recalled its ambassador from Nairobi. Kenya has responded, indicating that it has not received any information on the closure from the Somali government. For more on this story, we're now joined via Skype in Nairobi by SABC Correspondent in East Africa, Sarah Kimani. Sarah, thanks very much indeed for joining us. This is quite a diplomatic row, withdrawing and expelling diplomats.
Indeed it is, although it is not the first time. Now, the two neighbors have been having these conflicts on and off, and mostly it's due to issues like what we have now with Somalia, always feeling that the big brother, Kenya, is interfering in its political affairs, especially in Jubaland, where Kenya has its troops and where Kenya helped to regain peace after years of conflict. And so there's always that push and pull, also because the president of the region, Ahmed Madobe, is more loyal to the Kenyan side, and that always brings conflict with Mogadishu, where President Farmajo sits.
Is it clear what is meant by interference?
Well, Kenya says it is not clear, and indeed, in its statement this evening, it said that those allegations of interference had not been substantiated. But what we understand is there was an agreement between the federal states and the main government led by President Farmajo that there would be elections of MPs in the federal states, and that each of those federal states would provide offices and would provide the logistics for the holding of those federal elections for members of parliament. But apparently Kenya has managed to speak to Madobe, and Madobe has been able to now go against that agreement that was made between Somalia and the federal states and the leaders of the federal states. But Kenya is saying that it has not been any part of those negotiations or anything to do with Madobe backtracking, and it says that what Mogadishu is doing now is taking back the process of elections, which are due next month, that is from tomorrow, December, for the parliamentary elections, and the presidential elections due in February 2021. So Kenya is saying, let everybody get back on the dialogue table and instead negotiate without any distractions that would hold back these elections.
How did Kenya end up with troops in Somalia?
Now, if I take you back, Kenya had received a lot of attacks inside its borders by suspected Al-Shabaab militants. And so in October 2011, it decided to send troops to Somalia to be able to repulse those attacks and to be able to take control of its borders. Initially, that seemed to work very well, and the Somali government was happy with it. But over time, even as Al-Shabaab pushes back both inside Kenya and within the borders, always insisting that the attacks that it carries out inside Kenya, very deadly attacks that have cost lives, hundreds of lives, saying that it wants Kenyan troops out of Somalia. Somalia, on the other hand, has felt that since Kenya's entry into Somalia, it seems to have a lot of say in its political affairs. Most of the time, Somalia having to push back very strongly and insisting that it's a sovereign nation.
But Kenya, I suppose, in defending its borders, has assisted Somalia in dealing with some of the militants. Does this
it has.
Yeah? Does this put this relationship in jeopardy?
No, well, we have seen previous cases where we have seen Mogadishu pushing back like they have done this time. It happened a few months ago, and they recalled the ambassador. And for a long time, Mogadishu did not have any representation here in Nairobi. But only 2 weeks ago, Mogadishu reopened its offices here in Nairobi, and there was a lot of celebration. The Foreign Affairs Minister saying that this shows that there is brotherhood between the two countries and that the two countries are working together. But there have been a lot of issues that have been brewing. For example, inside the Indian Ocean, Kenya and Somalia have been having a row over oil wells that are suspected to be in the Indian Ocean. Kenya laying claim to that triangle, Somalia laying claim, and the two of them now have a duel going on at the International Court of Justice. So it is a lot of back and forth, probably what you'd say between big brothers. President Farmajo has had to come to Kenya at some point to meet with President Kenyatta to try and cool down the diplomatic tensions. We do not know if that will happen again this time or how this time the two countries will end this simmering row.
All right, and what's been the reaction of Kenyans to this? Is this an issue for them? Because I would imagine they also are watching their troops in another country, but they realize how important it is to protect the borders.
Yes, indeed. It's a bit worrying for many people here in Kenya, especially because of what is happening in neighboring Ethiopia. Ethiopia has also had troops inside Somalia. So anytime there seems to be that trial, there is a fear that it is likely that people might drop their guard and Kenya could be attacked, or even there has been talk that by next year troops under the African Union mission for Somalia will be withdrawing from Somalia. So a lot of people asking, what does that mean if the Kenyan troops are to withdraw at a time when Kenya and Somalia is not seeing eye to eye? We still do not know if Kenya will be taking that, initiative by the African Union mission for Somalia to withdraw out of Somalia. But of course, experts here, foreign relations experts, saying that there is need for Kenya and Somalia to speak because both countries need each other, whether it is for trade, whether it is for security, or whether it is just for relations between two neighbors who are close by and share a very long and porous border.
And there is a large Somali community inside Kenya, isn't there? So there's been movement between the two countries for quite a while.
Yes, indeed. We have both Kenyan Somalis and also Somali Somalis, whether it is in the refugee camps, in the Dadaab refugee camp on the border between Kenya and Somalia, or whether it's in Kakuma on the border between South Sudan and Somalia. And we have Somali citizens also living in Kenya who are either working here, have run businesses. So the relationship between Kenya and Somalia, it's like Siamese twins tied at the hip. And so anything that happens in Somalia will have a direct effect in Kenya. And that's why a lot of people are saying it's time that these rows that are on and off are, healed once and for all.
All right, so I suppose in the end, these presidents are probably going to have to pick up the phone and settle it one way or another.
Well, like I said, we've seen President Farmajo coming into Kenya before when there was that long, bitter row over the maritime disagreements between the two countries. This time again, and especially with Kenya saying that it's yet to receive a note verbal from Somalia, it is likely then that either President Kenyatta or President Farmajo will pick up the phone and call each other. Now the question is, who is going to, swallow their pride and pick up the phone and call the other?
Sarah Kimani, we're going to leave it there. Thanks very much indeed. Asante sana.
Karibu sana. Thank you for having me.
Great. That's our East Africa correspondent, Sarah Kimani, speaking to us from Nairobi about this diplomatic spat. In fact, it's a bit more than a spat. It's a full-on row, withdrawing diplomats. That's Somalia, expelling Kenya's ambassador from Somalia and withdrawing its own from Nairobi.